Hey guys, it's Sykkuno here, and today we're going to try the upcoming class in Diablo 4 Vessel of Hatred. But we got to fly to Blizzard HQ to try it, so let's go. Once we got to Blizzard HQ, it was time to start gaming. Setup wasn't really exactly like I have at home, but they did do their best to make me comfortable. Even brought me a green screen, which I didn't set up because I was just busy enjoying the game. Well anyway, let's start playing the new class.
What is up, guys? It's Sykkuno here.
Spiritborn. This class has 4 spirit creatures, I guess you could call them, which are Eagle, Gorilla, Jaguar, Centipede. In this playtest, they had pre-built classes for all 4 of them. But there's one thing to keep in mind. You kind of mix and match each creature's abilities, meaning you can kind of make whatever class you want to. Well, let's first take a look at the pre-made Eagle spec that they gave me. This one focuses on mobility and good positioning. Let's just take a look at the abilities. First ability is Rushing Claw, which is actually from the Jaguar class. This one's great for movement and keeping you in the fight. It's really cool at making the game feel a lot more fast-paced. If you want to, there's just never a time you don't have to stop fighting. The next ability is called Counterattack, and if you guys know me, I'm the type of player who plays first, reads later. I read this a little bit. It looks like a buff that I kind of just kept up, and that's about it. I would just leave it up when it felt like it was time to leave it up. So the first Eagle ability is called Razor Wings, which shoots out kind of like a little boomerang thing, and I think it makes them vulnerable, which increases your damage. I don't think the skill did that much damage on its own, but vulnerable is always good in Diablo. Use this pretty often to debuff them before you use your other abilities. Now the fourth ability is the big one. It's called the Seeker, and it summons this giant eagle that I think CCs or stuns enemies or knocks them down or something like that. Then it does like a bazillion damage. This seemed like the major damage ability. It was super cool looking too. This is the main Spirit Eagle ability. Now the left click, which is the generator, pretty plain attack, nice little stab, didn't expect it to be crazy. Then the right click is Quill Volley, which is kind of like a raking ability. It shoots out a bunch of little lightning bolts and then they come back in for even more damage. So I found that the best thing to do, first ability, the dash, which teleports you right next to him. Then you can hit him with right click, which does a ton of damage because pretty much every single one hits him. And then obviously the big eagle's great too. It just looks really cool and it's probably the highest damaging ability. The second spec was the Gorilla, which was pretty much the tanky kind of spec. It wasn't really my favorite, but it was easy to play and I feel like you can't go wrong with it. You just stand in their face and you could just beat them up. So the first ability is called Payback. It shoots out like this little shockwave, and honestly it just looks really cool. This is probably one of my favorite abilities for the Gorilla class. Just shoots out a shockwave. Looks cool. Now the second ability was called Armored Hide, which once again looked like some kind of buff, so I would just pop it when I seemed like it was time to use it, and I would just try and leave that up. Third ability is called Toxic Skin, which is actually from the Centipede class, and I think it poisons enemies that hit you. Another buff you can leave up. Like I said, this is more of a tanky class, so you're gonna get hit, and I think they spec'd it for abilities where you could get hit, but you're hitting them back at the same time. The fourth skill is the Spirit Summon, because it summons your giant spirit, just like the Eagle class. This one's called the Protector, which summons a giant gorilla, and it looks cool as heck. That thing looks like it's smashing everything up. I like this one a lot. The nicest thing is you can kind of walk around while the gorilla's killing things, so it's very convenient. Left click is pretty standard. Looked like it had a little more AoE in a circle, which I liked. And then the right click was pretty plain. You do a little ground slam with summoned gorilla hands. It looks really, really cool. And I think it gives you a little shield. The gorilla class definitely felt the tankiest with the most shields and sustain. So if you like running into your enemies' faces and just fighting them without backing away or cutting around or anything, it's perfect for that kind of playstyle. The third spec is the Jaguar Spiritborn. And this one, they were very, very fast. It felt like you were doing a lot of combos. There's a lot of multi-hit attacks. So the first ability was Soar, which is actually from the Eagle class. It's just great mobility. I think it might apply vulnerable, which is super good. Just makes you do more damage. But it was good for mobility, which is what this spec was all about. The second skill is called Vortex. That sucks a bunch of enemies in. It's really good for mobbing, and honestly, it seemed like a skill you could just combo with a bunch of other skills. Use the first ability to soar in, second ability to suck them all in, and then just start AoEing them down. The third ability was called Concussive Stomp, which I think CCs the enemies a little bit, so it was really good for the combo because you could jump in, suck them all in with Vortex, then hit them with Concussive Stomp to stun them, and then you just go from there. Now the fourth ability is you summon the Jaguar. This is called the Hunter. This one looks cool as heck. You summon the Jaguar, it dashes in, spins around, does a bunch of cuts, then it roars right before it leaves. This was probably one of my favorite ones visually. I mean, they all looked amazing, but this one looks extra cool, and you can just combo it with the other abilities after you suck them all in, so you just had a really good combo. Now, the left click button is called Thrash. It's pretty plain. amazing, and honestly, it reminded me of Naruto, like summoning his Rasengan or something. Now, the right click is called Rake. It's summoning like some kind of spirits. Pretty sure it's a Jaguar clawing at them, and they just teleport around slashing everything, which looks really, really cool. The mobility was amazing, and the balance might change, but I felt like the damage wasn't crazy, but maybe I was doing something wrong. It was a super fun class, though. I think in terms of mobility and just enjoying playing, I really like the Jaguar. It's super cool. The fourth spec is called Centipede, which is, honestly, I wasn't sure what to expect. It says it focuses on poison damage and debuffs. I didn't think this was going to be my favorite, but it was. So let's take a look at the abilities. Number one is from the Eagle Tree again, which is just soar. Lets you move around quick, applies vulnerability. It's great, and I think it's really cool that you can once again mix and match these classes. Yeah, so it's pretty cool. Second ability, Toxic Skin. This was also used in the Gorilla spec. It just makes it so if someone hits you, they get poisoned. Pretty cool ability, but it's just the buff you leave up, really. Now, the third ability, I'll say, didn't look super flashy. You kind of just hit them, but it did a lot of damage. And it summoned a little swarm that swirls around. That made it really easy to AoE clear things. The fourth skill summons this giant centipede, and let me tell you, centipedes kind of weird me out, but I really like this one. So when you summon it, it shoots out a bunch of fireballs. Don't know if they do damage, but it looks cool. And the centipede looks super scary. When I first summoned it, I didn't know it did this, but apparently it shoots lasers out too, and it looks cool as heck. So you summon this guy, it actually follows you around too. I noticed when I was walking around, the centipede would come with me. This boss of 3 mobs all at once, when I fought it as a centipede, it absolutely melted it. So obviously it felt super strong. I'm sure the balance will be a little different by the time it comes out. Let me tell you, centipede felt great, looked great. The guy shooting out lasers, yeah, centipede was definitely my favorite class. It was a really cool opportunity to play Spiritborn. I thought it was great. Honestly, I didn't even get to see all of it. Like, these were just the pre-mades. You can mix and match a whole bunch of things. There's a whole bunch more abilities. It's a really unique class. It honestly feels like 4 classes in one, if I'm honest. Even more if you include how much you can mix and match it. It was a super cool time being there. That was super fun, guys. Thanks a bunch to Blizzard for letting us test out the new class. You guys can play Diablo 4 Vessel of Hatred and try out the new Spiritborn class on October 8th. I can't wait to play it when Vessel of Hatred comes out. I'll be looking forward to it. Thanks a bunch, and thanks for watching.